Hello there. So this is Ishita, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, you're welcome. And so before I jump directly to the topic of this video, which is going to be "To Autumn" by John Keats. So this is going to be sort of a discussion on the poem. Like I will analyze the poem, which is something I have not done on this channel before because. I was not trying to make this channel educational, and it's still not an educational channel because but I still want to discuss this poem because it is one of the most popular and one of the most beautiful poems written by one of the most amazing romantic poet, John Keats. So from time to time, I might discuss some very great and popular poem because it might help someone out there, and also it's important to appreciate great poems like these from time to time. Yeah, so before I talk about the poem, I want to discuss something like a little bit of chit chat before I get into the topic. So before I started recording, I was not really sure about making this video because I was kind of losing motivation. For creating these videos, these long form content, especially. Like I was okay with creating short videos because they take relatively less time, they are less time consuming, and also, just a sec. Yeah. So so I was concentrating on just that, and I was not really motivated since quite some time to make a video, like long form video, because I was not feeling like there's enough engagement out there, and I was not sure how much people are even interested. I know it's too early to sort of think like that right now because it takes time for a channel to take off, but still I really want to add value through my content. And yes, my niche is going to be about literature, and also there might be more stuff later on, but yeah, the important thing is that I do want to add some value through my content, and I was wondering if my content is doing that or not. But I feel like the main reason why I started this channel because I wanted a creative outlet, and this is what this channel has been for me till now. Like it has been an amazing creative outlet for me, and it will continue to be that. And I'll not hinder my creativity just for views and all. Yeah, those things are important, but I feel like the fact that this medium is a creative outlet for me is more important to me right now. So yeah, so that's why I'm here. And even though I was not motivated to create this video, I'm really motivated right now to like now that I've started recording it, I'm feeling really happy. So yeah, let's get on the video and let's talk about To Autumn and John Keats. So yeah, let's continue. Let's start the poem. So the poem is a really popular one, and it is like one of the poems which are part of 1819 odes. They are called, and they were written at the later stage of Keats' life, and his life was drawing towards an end. And he had this very creative creative burst of creativity during this phase, and he wrote a lot of great odes during that phase, and they are known as 1819 odes. And To Autumn is also the part of these great odes. Yeah, and this poem is it paints a very good picture of the season of autumn, and it's very beautiful, and it's something which he is written a very experiential sort of poem. Like you really can feel the background, you really can feel the an autumnal landscape, like, and there are a lot of sounds, a lot of beautiful imageries, so it really evokes our senses. So in that way this poem is really evokes all of our senses. So anyway, so one more thing I want to tell was that, yeah, so it has like three stanzas, and in all the stanzas you would realize that he is the way he is talking about autumn, he you can feel that time is passing through the stanzas. Like the autumn is not a stagnant is not in its stagnant form. Like in the first stanza, the autumn is just in its beginning phases, and by the next stanza, the autumn is sort of in a more mature stage, and in the end, in the last stanza, you would see that the autumn is already transitioning into early winter. So yeah, the time is passing in this poem, and you would feel that when you read closely through this poem, which we will do. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm not gonna decode every single line, but I'm gonna give you a crux of every single stanza, and hopefully that would help because that would give you an idea of what the images are that are being evoked in a particular stanza, and yeah, and then you can make your closer meaning on your own. So yeah, let's talk about the first stanza. Season of mist and yellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatched eaves run, to bend the apples and the mossed cottage trees, and fill all the fruits with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plumb the hazel shells, and with the sweet kernel to set budding more, and still more later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells. So, in the first stanza, the poet is talking about how autumn has sort of conspired with the maturing sun. Maturing sun because autumn comes at the time when comes at the later part of the year. So the year is already sort of mature. The sun is sort of mature, like it is about to complete its revolution around the sun. So, sort of, the year is mature by now, and the autumn season has ushered in. And what is it doing? It is like sort of bringing ripeness to all the flora and the fauna that is in the environment. And a lot of examples have been given of the fruits that are on growing on the houses and the thatched eaves, and all the trees that are in the orchard, like the apple trees. Like autumn is bringing ripeness, so there's a sense of things going into the fruition. Like now is the time to enjoy the harvest, because the things that were sown during the month of probably in the spring, now the things have reached a fruition, a maturation. So there's a sense of maturation in the environment around him in autumn. So the trees are bending because of the apple that has kind of like grown by now, and that has become ripe by now. So you see that when a lot of a particular fruit is growing thickly on a tree, then it bends because they're so thick and they're so ripe. So that is what is happening. That is a picture that he's painting, a very, very beautiful landscape where all these plants have become ripe. The apple trees are growing in the orchards, and they are really bending the trees because the fruit is very ripe by now. And yeah, it's very beautiful how he has written that, and fill all the fruits with a ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plumb the hazel shells, and with a sweet kernel to set the budding more, and still more. So yeah, in the first stanza, he is painting that picture that everything from the gourd to the hazel shells and everything that is sort of getting a sort of matureness, a sort of ripeness is in the environment. So yeah, that's the picture of autumn which has been presented in the first stanza. Yeah, there might be more, very minute details which you need to go through on your own, because this is just like a discussion of sorts. This is not entirely an educational discussion. This is like, you can treat it as a introduction to this poem. So yeah, that's about the first stanza. And let's talk about the second one. Like, this stanza is my favorite. because in this stanza, autumn has been presented as a woman. So there's a personification of the season of autumn. She has been presented as a woman, or she could also be seen as some sort of a goddess. There are different images that have been presented in this stanza. Like it's very pictorial. Like you can see, like I'll tell you what she has been like. Autumn as a woman has been presented as a harvester, as a reaper, as a gleaner. So as like she's a part of the autumnal landscape. So yeah, I'll first read through the stanza. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, on a hair or on a half-reaped furrow, sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its clean flowers, and sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press with a patient look, thou watchest the last oozing hours by hours. So in the stanza, like autumn has been presented as this female figure, and like she has been presented as somebody who is kind of relaxed, like harvest, like this is the season of harvest. The hard work of the spring season or the summer season is done, and now it's the time to rest, and that is reflected in the personality of the autumn. She's not in a hurry. She doesn't want to work hard. She's sort of drowsy. She is all over the autumnal landscape, and there's no hurry in her actions. She has all the time in the world. She's relaxed because that's the mood of autumn. The year is drawing towards its end. It's the season of harvest. It's the season to get the reward of what you sowed in the month of springs, in the months of spring. Sorry. So it's first talking about how she's sitting on a sitting very carelessly, like all these sort of words have been used, like she's careless, she's not careful, she's not attentive, she's in a careless mood. So she's sitting carelessly on a granary floor, and her hair is being lifted by a winnowing machine. So winnowing machine sort of removes the chaff from the wheat, I guess. So that is on that fan, that machine is on, and that is kind of lifting her hair. So that sorts of again paints a very relaxed sort of a picture. So, and another image is like, so the first one was the image of a harvester, and the now second image like is that of a reaper. Like she is on a half reaped furrow. She's sound asleep. So she's cutting all the she's cutting something from the ground like a reaper, and she's not attentive about that as well. She again has a very careless attitude about that. Like she is she's sound asleep. She is probably asleep on a half reaped furrow, and she's drowsing with, and there is a fume of poppy, like she's also fuming poppy. So that is the kind of mood. She's drowsy, she is in that sort of relaxed mood while she's doing all these tasks of the autumn. So yeah, and she's so careless that while she is reaping, she is missing out on certain like she's missing the plants, like sometimes she's cutting and sometimes she is missing out, and but she doesn't care. She is just relaxed in whatever she is doing. So like drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next to swath and all its toined flowers. And the next image is that of a gleaner. So, a gleaner is somebody who sort of stores the harvested grains, harvested plants in a, food grains in a room. So that is what a gleaner is. So now autumn has been visualized as a gleaner. So as a gleaner, she is carrying something on her head, probably some harvested like food grains and all that she is carrying on her head, and she is steadily walking across a brook. So yet again, that's an image of autumn as a woman, and she's carefully walking across a brook. So that's the another image. And the last image is also like She's patiently, again, she's patient, no hurry in her actions. So she's patiently looking at a cider press. So cider press is a place where apples are crushed. So she is patiently looking at that process which is happening, and she's watching. Thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours. So she is standing by the cider press and she is watching these apples getting crushed, and this activity going on slowly and slowly. So again, she has all the time in the world, and she is watching it till the last oozing, and she has all the time in the world. She's watching it for hours. So that's the image of the autumn that was shown in this stanza. I think this stanza is the most beautiful one. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time on this stanza. So let's move to the last one quickly. So in the last one, it is basically. So I'll read it first. Where are the songs of spring? I, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in unveilful quiet the small gnats mourn among the river swallows borne aloft, or sinking as the light winds lives or dies, and full-grown lambs bleat from the hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the red breast whistles from the garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the sky. So again, now in this stage, the autumn is slowly transitioning to winter. So it's not the peak autumn anymore. Now there are, the flora and fauna around is speaking of a declining autumn. The plants, the animals, and the birds that are present in the backdrop are speaking of approaching winter, like the gathering of swallows in the last line. It is a remark that winter has approached. So that's the last line, because the last line ends where sort of the autumn has reached its end. So in this stanza, the poet is basically again appreciating autumn, and he's talking about that one doesn't need to compare autumn to spring. Like autumn has its own beauty. So poet is trying to appreciate the beauty of autumn, and it's not something to be compared to the beauty of the spring, because autumn has its own beauty. Like as we have seen through the earlier stanzas, how beautiful autumn is, how beautiful landscape that he created of the autumn. So yeah, autumn has its own song, and that's not to be compared with anyone else. That doesn't need to be compared with the great songs of spring, because autumn has its own essence. And again, he's talking about like all these animals, like he's talking about full grown lambs. So full grown is an important keyword which shows that by autumn, by the end of autumn, these lambs are fully grown. So maybe they might have taken birth in the month of spring or summer, but by the autumn they are fully grown animals. So yeah, autumn has as a mature landscape getting reflected in all the flora and fauna around. That matureness of the year, that matureness of autumn is getting reflected through all these plants and animals that are present around. And here again, he's talking about the wailful choir of the small gnats mourn among the river swallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. So probably the choir is wailful because the year is drawing towards an end, and it's the ending of sorts. So that might explain why the choir is said to be wailful. So yeah, gnats have been discussed. They are also part of the autumnal landscape, and again, hedge crickets have been discussed, and yeah, of course, as I told about the swallows in the last line, they are markers of the approaching winter. And the garden croft, I read somewhere that these insects have very short span of life. So maybe they represent the short period of the shortness. I don't know if that's a word. The short period of autumn. So yeah, all these animals and insects, and the landscape is speaking of the approaching winter now. So yeah, that's about this poem. I feel like I might not have gone into too much of detail as I would have liked, but for this video, I think this would be enough because then it would become very educational. I mean, like I want to make my channel a bit of entertainment and educational, or just purely educational. So definitely check this video out if you want to get a like a rough idea of what this poem is, and you can read again, because I'm actually making I actually wanted to appreciate this poem. So you can read on this poem more, and there are a lot of materials available on this poem on the internet, and also yeah, there are a lot of resources. This is a very popular poem, and yeah, it's just shows how the magic of Keats, like just the autumn here, this shows the ripeness of his talent. Like this is like the when his talent was also ripe, just like the month of autumn, and how autumn makes everything ripe. So yeah, that was about this poem. Hope you enjoyed the video, and sorry if it went on for very long. I'll see you very soon, and I'm very happy about making this video because yeah, I love making it. So yeah, see you soon, and do like, subscribe, and share, and all of that. See you soon. Bye.